Contingency plans, that's the focus of tonight's Angle. Now, government's filled with sneaky cowards, isn't it? And this week, Senate Republicans hit Speaker McCarthy's decision to greenlight an impeachment inquiry, and they did so via anonymous comments to journalists, calling impeachment a fool's errand, a waste of time, even comparing impeachment to a binky for conservative House members. And Democrats are sneaky, too. Just ask former Trump National Security Advisor Mike Flynn what he went through. When the Obama intel community wanted to take Flynn out, they came at him sideways through Washington Post columnist David Ignatius. It turns out that someone in the intel community gave that writer a heads up about calls that were intercepted between Flynn and the Russian ambassador at the end of 2016. Like clockwork, this ended up in a column published on January 12, 2017, where Ignatius noted the Flynn calls and then asked, did Trump's campaign encourage Russia's alleged hacking to hurt his rival Hillary Clinton and help him? And does Russia have any leverage over him? Well, we know the rest of the story. A special counsel was appointed to investigate Russian election interference, and Flynn eventually pled guilty. Ignatius was the go-to guy to get the ball rolling. So I wondered, is a similar dynamic at play again? But this time, the guy they're trying to push aside, could it be Joe Biden? In a Washington Post column published 2 days ago, Ignatius, a loyal Democrat, argues that Biden should not run again. Biden's age isn't just a Fox News trope. It's been the subject of dinner table conversations across America this summer. Kamala Harris is less popular than Biden. She's failed to gain traction in the country or even within her own party. Wow. And he sounded the alarm again on camera.
Through this summer, I haven't gone anywhere in the country. I haven't talked to any group of people where this issue of whether President Biden should run again hasn't been a centerpiece of conversation. It doesn't get into the newspapers.
But it's there now, which leads us to ask, is there some coordination going on between top government officials who are increasingly worried about a Trump second term and the press who equally despises Trump and is getting worried? Have they now made a calculation that Biden is a liability and not an asset? And are they now kind of feeling their way to some type of transition away from Biden? Well, why not ask Nancy Pelosi, who in 2 consecutive media appearances sounded purposely unconvincing in her faint praise for a Biden-Harris ticket.
The Biden-Harris team is a team we're very proud of. Joe Biden brings such wisdom, judgment, experience to the job of presidency, and he is a great president and will continue to be a great president. He's experienced and strategic in his thinking, and that's all up here. And then in the heart, he's the most empathetic president.
Yeah, the fire victims in Maui thought Joe Biden was super empathetic when he finally visited the region, the deadliest fire in state history, and then he compares it to an old kitchen fire where he almost lost his cat. Pelosi's absurd praise makes Biden seem even more decrepit, to me at least, not less. And I think she knows that, too. She has to say those things. And she also knew that the message she was about to be sending about Biden's number 2 was going to be taken a certain way when she answered this question.
Is Vice President Kamala Harris the best running mate for this president?
He thinks so, and that's what matters. And by the way,
you think so?
She's very politically astute. I don't think people give her enough credit.
Now, no one who follows politics believes that Pelosi, who herself is extremely astute, thinks Kamala is anything but a liability at this point. And her feigned attempt with Anderson Cooper to praise Harris is just another sign that the Democrats are getting very, very nervous. Nancy wants Democrats to take the House back, of course, and who knows? She may even want to wrestle that gavel from Hakeem Jeffries in 2025. I don't know. And does she think a Biden-Harris ticket, Nancy Pelosi, with all of her experience, that ticket is her best chance at getting that power back? Don't think so. And Pelosi's not the only one who seems to be, between the lines, equivocating.
Do you think Kamala Harris is the best running mate for President Biden?
That's President Biden's choice, and I think she's an excellent running mate for President Biden. I don't know what more needs to be said about that.
I actually think it's a pretty simple question. Do you think Kamala Harris is the best running mate for President Biden? Yes or no?
I mean, but I don't know what else I can say other than she would
say
be
yes.
an excellent running mate and an excellent vice president. I don't know whether President Biden has named his running mate. We're going to a convention next summer. It's a year away from now, and we're going to go through that process.
It sounds like the Democrats may be talking about contingency plans behind closed doors, don't you think? Perhaps what we're missing, though, is that things are actually much, much worse with Biden when the Democrats interact with him behind closed doors. For instance, does anyone believe this?
When we're with the president, he's vigorous, he's on top of the situation, he is so knowledgeable, and you would see him meet somebody and say, tell me how your younger son is. And I know he was going to college. He has a great memory, which is part of something that might be in question as time goes by.
Well, is she kidding me? Because Biden sucks up to people about their kids, he's definitely fit for office. You can go into any nursing home and find people who can do family chit-chat. Again, Pelosi knows that Biden is a figurehead, that he's incapable of making any real decisions on his own. They don't even want him to make those decisions. But even still, they'll stick with him if they think he's their best chance to beat Trump. But if they determine that Biden is a liability, they're going to dump him. One Democrat oracle, David Ignatius, as I said, thinks that Biden's a liability, but the widely respected Pelosi is still on the fence. But what neither perhaps is seeing is that the walls are closing in, not just on this issue of Biden's age or Biden's mental fitness, but on his policies. The White House has lied about the economy. It's in shambles. They lied that Biden wasn't aware of Hunter's foreign money trail. They lied about the border. It's a nightmare. They told us a fairy tale about the war in Ukraine, and it's not going well. And now they've backed themselves into a corner, not only with their policies that are failing, but with their candidate who's failing. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.